Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the September 4th, 2012 meeting of the Downers Grove Village Council. It's my privilege to call this meeting to order. There are agendas for our meeting on both sides of the room. If you haven't availed yourself of them yet, please pick one up and you can follow along tonight. There will be multiple opportunities for public comment, both with respect to items that are on our agenda tonight, as well as to items that are not, and that's our section on public comment of things of a general nature. It is our custom to begin our meetings by reciting the Pledge of Allegiance, and tonight we have some very special guests from Troop 67 who are going to come up here and lead us in the pledge. So gentlemen, if you would please come down. Assume the honorary spot in the middle of the dais, and we will follow your lead in the pledge. Flag is back here. I know, already mugging for the camera, right? Whenever you're ready. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Gentlemen, thank you very much. Turn around, say hello to your adoring fans. Thank you very much, Troop 67. Well done. Terrific. And with that, I'd ask our fine village clerk to please call the roll.
Commissioner Rankin. Here. Commissioner Barnett.
Here.
Commissioner Neustadt.
Here.
Commissioner Durkin.
Here.
Commissioner Waldeck.
Here.
Commissioner Schnell. Here. Mayor Tully.
Here. Thank you very much, April. It brings us to item 3 on our agenda tonight, which is for the adoption of minutes of prior council meetings. We have one set of minutes to adopt tonight, and those are our regular council meeting minutes from August 21st, 2012. Are there any comments, corrections, or changes to those minutes from any members of the council? Hearing none, do I have a motion to approve, please?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? None. Those minutes are adopted. Terrific. Well, moving right along, it brings us item 4 on our agenda, which is the segment of the evening when we entertain public comments of a general nature. These are comments with respect to items that are not appearing on our agenda tonight. And so if there are any members of the public here tonight who would like to comment on anything of a general nature, something not appearing on our agenda tonight, the protocol is to please come down to the podium, give us your name and address, and we would welcome hearing from you.
Good evening. My name is Elaine Zanis. I'm a village trustee from Oak Brook. I live at 147 Briarwood North in Oak Brook, Illinois. I am also one of the nominees for DuPage County Board in District 2. As you know, you have 2 districts, District 2 and District 3. I am running for the November election, and I have been making my way around all of the municipalities, getting to know everybody, getting to meet all of the commissioners or trustees, understanding how you conduct your business, understanding what issues are important to you, so that as I move forward, I am as prepared as I can possibly be to represent you to the best of my ability. I've also been doing that with the county. I've been going to each of the different departments, whether it's the health department or the sheriff's office or the attorney's office, or even Public Works. So you'll see me here a couple of times between now and November. You'll see me out and about in your town. If you have any questions about me or of me, don't hesitate to call. Just Google my name. I'd be more than happy to meet with you and tell you a little bit more about who I am and how I conduct business. And in the meantime, I will see you around town and I'll see you here. So thank you. Nice to meet you all.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments of a general nature? Hearing none, bring us to item 5, public hearings. There are no public hearings tonight. We'll move to item 6, our consent agenda. Do I have a motion to approve the consent agenda, please?
So moved.
Second.
Any questions or comments from any members of the audience with respect to the consent agenda? Any questions or comments from any members of the village council with respect to any items on the consent agenda? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Commissioner Schnell.
Aye.
Commissioner Durkin.
Aye.
Commissioner Rankin. Aye. Commissioner Barnett.
Aye.
Commissioner Neustadt.
Aye.
Commissioner Waldeck.
Aye.
Mayor Tully.
Aye. Consent agenda passes unanimously. We are now on item 7 of our active agenda. We have one item on our active agenda. Do I have a motion to adopt an ordinance which would in turn adopt a 4-hour parking provision on Elm Street from Prairie to Chicago in the village of Downers Grove?
Mayor Tully, I move to adopt an ordinance adopting 4-hour parking provisions on Elm Street from Prairie to Chicago as presented.
Second.
Any questions or comments from any members of the audience with respect to this item? Any questions or comments from any members of the Village Council with respect to this item? Roll call, please.
Commissioner Schnell?
Aye.
Commissioner Durkin?
Aye.
Commissioner Rankin?
Aye.
Commissioner Barnett?
Aye.
Commissioner Newstead?
Aye.
Commissioner Waldeck?
Aye.
Mayor Tully?
Aye. That item passes unanimously. That brings us to our first reading or our workshop portion of our meeting. And we have 3 items on our workshop first reading segment of our meeting. As is customary, we turn things over to our village manager. Mr. Fieldman is away tonight, but we are privileged to have Deputy Village Manager Mike Baker here. Mr. Baker, please.
Thank you, Mayor Tully. I am actually going to turn over the first 2 items of the first reading section of the agenda to our Community Development Director, Tom Daybrenner.
Good evening, Mayor and Council.
Good evening.
First of all, an ordinance has been prepared amending Plan Development Number 18 to permit a second driveway access to Main Street for a Bohemian Garden Restaurant which is located at 980 75th. That is the approximate location, the 75th on the bottom of the screen. Main Street here and Lamont Road kind of curving around there. So we're looking at that property. The property, which is zoned B2 General Retail Business and is improved with a 1-story 7,800 square foot restaurant. The proposed 15-foot wide concrete driveway, and I'm going to overlay the plan there, which that's the driveway that we're talking about, the darkened area there. The proposed 15 wide concrete driveway would be located on the north side of the property, and the petitioner is proposing that the new service drive be used for trash collection only. This is a picture that unfortunately is darker than it looks on my screen, but the existing trash enclosure is here. We're looking south. This is Main Street on the left, and out in front there is 75th. Trash enclosure here, and the driveway would come in over this green space here off the road. I've got another view here. On the left is the trash enclosure. Now, I know this looks very realistic, but take a breath. This is just worked up in SketchUp. So we would have signage that indicates...
We're just disappointed, Mr. Daybrenner, that it's not animated.
Well, you know, we ran out of time. We were going to bring the signs up from the ground. But no, so the driveway would be here, and we would place some bollards or other obstructions right there, just beyond the edge of the trash enclosure, so that the trash could be rolled out to the truck, loaded, and the truck can pull away after returning the bins. These signs aren't precise. It's just to indicate that they would indicate service only and no other access. The property currently has just one driveway located about here. It is what we like to call a half pork chop, which is full access inbound from the north or from the south, but only right turn exit only. So you can only go southbound here. Pretty much restricted over this whole property. This is the PUD. There is a shared access, and you can go right out on 75th as well through the other property. And part of the reason for all of this is to avoid having trucks make these maneuvers and then having to back up into this area. They're heavy trucks. They've been damaging the pavement, and this is a way to get them in and out really pretty quickly without a lot of obstruction and hassle. The comprehensive plan designates the property. I bet the camera loved that when I dove to the floor. The comprehensive plan designates the property as corridor commercial and includes a recommendation for reinvestment and functional improvement to commercial properties, and staff believes that this meets that the proposed amendment is consistent with the comprehensive plan. The Plan Commission considered the petition at their August 6, 2012 meeting and requested that the amendment to the restrictive covenant include a condition that restricts left turns for outbound movements, so it would prohibit the northbound movement up Main Street. Additionally, the commission included a condition that a physical barrier, and that's the bollards that I showed there, that a physical obstruction be installed just west of the existing dumpster to make sure that that access is restricted for service purposes only. Based on their findings, the Plan Commission unanimously recommended approval of the amendment to Planned Development Number 18 to permit a second driveway access, and staff concurs with the recommendation. Be happy to try to answer any questions.
Thank you very much, Mr. Daybrenner. Are there any questions or comments on this matter from any members of the audience? Questions with respect to the Bohemian Garden proposal? Good evening, sir.
Good evening, everyone. Tom LeCren, 545 Chicago Avenue. I just have one question. In that access, it would seem that the garbage trucks or whatever are going to have to either back in off of Main Street or back out onto Main Street, which is, they would back in off of Main Street. So you're going to stop and back. Thank you.
Thank you. Good evening, sir.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Bill Roble, 7800 Queens Court in Downers Grove. I happen to be acquainted with the Bohemian Gardens restaurant. I had the privilege of having lunch there last Tuesday with a high school friend. And I would want to go on record as saying we must do everything in our power to encourage easy access for the motorists that use 75th Street. There's a car wash in the picture there that has been struggling because of the limited access from, you can only get in the car wash going west on 75th Street. And the same thing with Bohemian Gardens, you have to be going west on 75th Street. There's not, at the present time, as you know, there's major construction. They're right now in a economic disadvantage because 75th Street has one-way traffic on one side, on the south side of the street, and so you have to really dedicate yourself to get in there. And we're growing, and I think this particular restaurant should be assisted in every way possible. And in fact, I'm amazed they haven't asked for a better driveway access onto Old Main Street, because it is prohibitive to have to make a right turn when you want to go north. You can go north for regular vehicle traffic going north on Main Street to get back to Lamont Road. So I think they're being very prudent in asking for a little bit, and I certainly think they do make a contribution to the economic engine that we call 75th Street, South Downers Grove. That's my only comment.
Thank you, Mr. Rubble. Any other questions or comments from any members of the audience? Very well. Any questions or comments from any members of the Village Council? Commissioner Durkin.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor.
Recognizing the gentleman from the south side.
Yeah, and being Bohemian. I agree with what Mr. LeCren stated, but my question is, the backing up of those trucks, how far from our sidewalk west is the area that they're going to be backing into?
It's not very far at all. It's probably...
So they're gonna back their trucks up, the garbage hauler, and they're gonna put their duals on our sidewalk while they load the garbage, right?
Correct.
So what aspect or what safety measure do we have for our investment in our sidewalks? Because you testified or stated that the trucks are tearing up their parking lot. So by doing that, now they're gonna take a fully loaded, at times, a loaded garbage truck, park it on our sidewalk, so all that weight is gonna sit there and sink our sidewalk and crack it. So what measure do we have in place to protect the sidewalk?
Well, they are constructing the sidewalk in a manner to support the weight, but and that's located right about...
But that's an existing sidewalk.
Correct, but...
We don't build sidewalks, do we, to carry that weight load of a garbage truck?
It's something that I can look into.
Can you?
In terms of this particular item.
Because I also have a concern with them backing up. I mean, anytime that we can prevent a commercial vehicle, like a garbage truck, backing up, we even ask them not to back up on our community streets when they're picking up garbage in our neighborhoods. So I think if there's any way that we can prevent them from backing up in that area, I'd be all for it. And I agree with Mr. Robo, we have to do everything to help any way we can. That's a that's a landmark. That's a destination in Downers Grove, Bohemian Garden.
Yeah, and currently they're backing up they're maneuvering here and backing up that distance, so
Yeah.
it's,
I mean, I'm not a lawyer, I just look at it logically. I mean, they're backing up.
God knows lawyers don't look at it like that.
I didn't say that. I wasn't implying that. They're backing up on private property, probably early in the morning where there's not many people. And if they're backing across a busy street like that, I just have a concern with that. If we could just look into it.
sure.
And I apologize for not asking these questions, because I really didn't have any questions. I thought it was a great move until you were giving us fancy pictures and, see, the injustice.
Should have animated them, I'm telling you.
And I don't know the history, and if it's in the document, I apologize for not catching it. Why is it that we have such limited access to and from on Old Main Street?
Those were conditions that were placed on the PUD when it was created, long before
Many of us were here, I'm sure,
So,
Commissioner Schnell.
My guess is, if you want a somewhat educated guess, is it was so that they didn't intrude into the neighborhood. What? Are you making a comment? I'm not a lawyer. Well, we're going to pick up people. No, my guess is that they didn't want to intrude into the neighborhood. We've done this on many different occasions. So, I mean, there's a residential area to the east off of Old Main Street.
And that big shopping center just to the north of there has no restrictions, so I can't imagine, if that's the case, I mean, is there any way that are they interested in eliminating that? So we can eliminate the backing in?
We didn't talk with them about that kind of change to the PUD. They were requesting no other changes other than this access.
Okay. Sorry for throwing a monkey wrench into it, but,
We can get you answers to those questions, Commissioner.
yeah, even see if they'd even be interested in, if there's support, I don't even know what you'd have to go through to eliminate the restrictions.
In line with what Sean said, I don't know which is worse, backing in to fill it up or backing out into a street. Again, I think if there's some way of I'm sure there are similar situations throughout the village to what we're doing here. If you could just check to see if most of the cases they back in and then pick up the garbage, or if they try to back out. I don't know which is safer, but it would seem that logically maybe one is or is not. If they're coming down Main Street and just making a backing in, that may be easier than coming out and going, I don't know. But if you could just find out which is the norm,
We can
that would be
check with the safety, with the waste haulers and see
Right.
what the safer practices are.
Right, exactly.
Commissioner Barnett, we'll stay on this side.
Thank you, Mayor. I'm curious, what do we know about the rest of the traffic? I'm assuming there's got to be some additional truck traffic, right? A Cisco truck or something going on here? Restaurant can't be only getting rid of garbage, right? They got to have somebody delivering stuff. So there's a beer truck and a Cisco truck and what else is going on?
They would have the normal amount of traffic for a restaurant of this size. This doesn't change the amount of traffic. It
So-
only changes the location for the one.
That makes sense, so I'm not sure I understand. I mean, I understand the desire to get trucks out of the parking lot. That looks, from that picture right there, like a real pain in the neck, particularly when it's full. What I'm not sure I understand is the limited access element and kind of the restriction of actually going westbound from behind the building. Wouldn't we be wanting to get all the trucks out of the parking lot? There's got to be more than a garbage truck.
I will try to clarify what their
So,
intentions
I'm
are.
sorry, if I mean, the Plan Commission documents, delivery trucks utilizing the access drive will park along Main Street as they currently do and bring the deliveries up the service drive with hand trucks. So I think there's a little difference with the delivery trucks versus the garbage hauler because of the enclosure that's there.
So could we make it easier for everybody if we weren't prohibiting that westbound, through the back of the building? I think about, maybe Main Street there is not a problem, but I think about downtown, and what's an absolute pain in the neck are all the trucks that are constantly having to park on the street and deliver stuff and back into strange corners. And
We can look into that issue, Commissioner.
Other questions, Commissioner Rankin?
Well, some of you have touched on it. I was just looking at, it states in the documents that deliveries were only allowed from the car wash property, but you read something different. And so I was wondering if we should be allowing deliveries to pull into that same area while we're modifying this for them to drop stuff off, kind of similar to what Commissioner Barnett was saying.
I think we're going to have somebody tell us how the delivery system works at the Bohemian Garden in about a second. But in here it says that beer trucks are too big to get into that access anyway, both the garbage, the proposed garbage area, and then in the parking lot now, so they deliver off the street. And it also says it would be a thicker concrete for the sidewalk to reinforce it. That's in the plan here in the Plan Commission. So the one question I have, Mayor, if I could go on, is it's kind of a simple one, is what time, maybe we could find out what time that the garbage is picked up traditionally. That's kind of a habitual and a routine time frame for the haulers. That's actually what I was looking for in here, and I couldn't find it right away, but that would be interesting to hear. I think that area, I agree with my colleagues that backing up garbage trucks is not a great idea. We've had some issues with that in our town way back in our history. Most of the garbage haulers now have improved with cameras and are a lot more careful than they have been, but I do have a concern about that. But I think in this particular case where it's located, while there is a residential properties right across the street, there isn't a lot of pedestrian traffic, I think, on that sidewalk. So, but if it's in the middle of the day or on the weekends, that might be a different story. Thank you, Mayor.
Sure, thank you. Other questions from the council on this? I was going to also point out that as long as they're constructing the driveway, I'm sure they're going to take into account the additional weight. And that's what it indicates. So at least that part of it, I think, from an engineering standpoint, should be addressed. But a valid concern, Commissioner Durkin, in terms of the backing up, the vehicular ingress and egress. I guess we'll be hearing some more about that. I didn't have any other comments.
the sort of two lots we're looking at are combined, make up the PUD, right?
I'm sorry.
The sort of two lots that we see on the screen there comprise the PUD?
Correct.
Correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Is there cross-access between those two?
Yes, there is cross-access, and as was referenced, there's currently, because of the limited access, there's a specific plan as to how Bohemian Gardens is supposed to be accessing or receiving the heavier delivery type traffic. And it gets a little convoluted because you see two right in, right out off of 75th, and then the limited access on Main. So it tends to get to be a bit circuitous for everybody.
I mean, I kind of understand what Commissioner Barnett is saying, is that then you're just going in one way, you're turning right, and you're dropping off, and you're out of there. Then there's not all this turning around business.
It's easy for me to say because it's not my money and my property, but as I'm sitting here looking at it, it just seems like pulling through there would be better. Maybe even you'd exit out at the back end by the mall where you're already running a bunch of traffic behind the mall. Then you're driving trucks straight through. You can drive whatever size truck through you want at that point because it's a straight shot. You're not leaving cars on the street or trucks on the street to do unloading. You're not backing up commercial vehicles. It seems like there'd be a lot of upside to that.
I think, though, that north property line is used for parking. So, you know, that might be limiting the amount of access there is to vehicular traffic through from Old Main to the west.
Yeah,
Sure.
And I think they do get, from, you know, my experience at Bohemian Garden, it's usually a large amount of people at one time for a special event that takes up, you know, a lot of the parking lot. So that might be part of the issue there as well.
This is a bit diagrammatic, but Commissioner Neustadt is correct. There's designated parking along the north side here, and this isn't all free and wide open.
Right.
I mean,
Actually, the picture in our packet, it has cars parked along that northerly line.
So it does narrow up quite a bit, and that was one of the concerns.
I think we can get a lot of this solved by just finding out from the restaurant owner what they really would like to do ultimately, because they probably thought they can't do anything because of the pork chop or the ins and outs, so.
There are restrictions associated with the PUD that I think we would
Correct, I
probably have to
understand
look for if we were, or look to amend if we were going to do further changes to the site, yes.
All right, well, I'm hearing that, I'm sorry, go ahead, Mr.
Oh, I was going to say, staff, I think, has a good handle on the issues that were raised, and we can provide additional information after speaking with the petitioner and getting some information from them.
Okay, because I was going to sum up by saying, I think what you're hearing is that particularly with respect to the ingress and egress, there's some questions about whether there's maybe even a better way to go about doing it that would address the safety and ingress and egress issues and also achieve the goals of the petitioner, which we're not trying to detour that either.
Yep.
Any other questions, comments? I know if the petitioner wanted us to speak.
I was just going to...
Well, please come to the, if you wouldn't mind, come down to the podium and just give us your name and address so the folks at home
My name
can hear
is
from you.
Joseph Voidla. I live at 7437 Main Street. I just was going to answer any questions you might have regarding the property and the property owner's son.
Well, thank you for being here, and thank you for stepping up. I know you weren't expecting to. Now that you've invited it, are there any questions? Well, thank you for being here.
I mean, as far as to answer the
Yeah, I
question
mean,
about backing up...
Based on what you were
garbage-
listening to, tell us
Yeah,
what's going on.
The garbage truck typically comes around 6, 7 a.m. and it pulls forward. It's the front loading truck, so the fork's coming forward and dump over the truck, so it would be backing out onto Main Street. I think that was one of your concerns. Were there any other ones?
How do your deliveries go? Do you guys accept deliveries in the parking lot by the car wash, or?
Yes, depending on the size of the truck. If it's a semi that pulls up, typically they don't pull into the parking lot because there's a restriction on the other driveway preventing any truck access because there's low-lying power lines. And they've been known to pull the power lines down and cause significant damage. So they park on the side of Old Main Street and they bring in the deliveries from the side into the back of the restaurant. And we feel that the Old Main Street is sufficiently wide enough that it really doesn't prohibit any traffic from coming down the street while the delivery truck is parked on the side temporarily.
So the low lines are along Main Street?
Excuse me?
The low power lines are Main Street or 75th?
Yeah, they run along Main Street. This is basically right above the sidewalk.
Do we have a certain height restrictions that's overhead cables have to be? Like bridges, they have to be a minimal?
We can check.
That's probably the
See what-
utilities requirement.
And we can certainly talk with the utility,
Yeah.
with ComEd, see what can be done.
Talk to them about that on September 20th.
Yeah, there you go. Mark it down. South side issue.
Any other questions from the council, as long as we have a representative of the petitioner here? All right, going once, going twice, thank you very much.
Thank you very
Appreciate you
much.
being here. We'll work something out. And I just want to note that for Troop 67, once again, you were here and we were talking about garbage. They were telling me earlier, the last time we were here, we were talking about what waste disposal units should be used as part of our waste hauling contract. It's a theme now for you guys. All right, thank you. That brings us to the next item, please.
Correct. And Tom Dabriner will continue to introduce the next item B on the agenda as well.
8B, for those of you keeping score at home.
An ordinance has been prepared to permit a zoning ordinance map amendment to rezone the subject property at 4634 Roslyn Road from R1 single-family residence to R4 single-family residence, and we're looking for approval on a September 11th active agenda. That is the location of the property. We'll have a close-up there in a second. The petitioner has requested to rezone the property from R4 single-family to construct an addition to the existing garage, which is located about there. This is the length of the property there, so you can see that it is long and narrow. The R4 zoning district, which is less restrictive in terms of setback and bulk, is the predominant zoning designation in the area, and would allow the expansion where the R1, under R1, it's a non-conforming structure, and the expansion would not be allowed. We've highlighted the area here in a solid black line. That's the property that we're talking about. And you can see in the lighter yellow, that's the R1, and there is a smattering of R1 properties in that area. The rest are zoned R4, single-family residence. So you can see the predominance of the R4 single-family residence in that area. Staff believes that the proposed rezoning is consistent with the comprehensive plan and would be consistent with other properties in the neighborhood, as you can see in that map. Plan Commission considered the petition at their August 6, 2012 meeting and found that the request meets the standards for approval of amendments to the zoning ordinance, which are found in the Municipal Code in Chapter 28.1702. Staff concurs with the Planning Commission recommendation and be happy to try to answer any questions with this proposal as well.
Thank you. Are there any questions, any members of the audience with respect to the proposed rezoning? Any questions from members of the council with respect to the proposed rezoning? I just have one out of curiosity. Was the area primarily, historically speaking, was the area primarily R4 and there were some R1 rezonings, or was it R1 and was rezoned R4? I mean, why do we have the checkerboard?
Sure. Well, properties come in as R1, so the specific history of this
They were
area...
probably just never rezoned.
Correct. But
Okay.
the R1 here, for example, is too narrow. You need 100 feet of frontage, and this is about 40, similar to the property that we're talking about, which is circled there. You see, we have a lot of long, narrow properties in this area. So historically, the village hasn't really gone out and initiated these kinds of rezonings. We've waited to see what property owner wanted and made sure that it was consistent with their goals for the property, and waited for them to come. And that's what happened in this case. The R4 allows them to do something that they otherwise couldn't do.
If we were sort of painting the map with a new brush from scratch, we probably would have painted this whole area R4. Hypothetically.
Hypothetically, we might have done that, yes.
All right. Thank you. Any other questions from any members of the council? All right, terrific. Brings us to 8C.
Final item on the first reading section will be introduced by our village attorney, Enzo Petrarca.
Thanks, Mike.
Good evening.
Good evening. The proposed ordinance is an attempt to clarify some of the liquor classifications and some of the definitions currently contained in the ordinance. Several definitions have been added and revised in order to clarify some of the specific requirements, and some liquor classifications have either been deleted or consolidated in order to simplify some of the different classifications contained in the ordinance. It's important to note that none of the current requirements or restrictions of the classifications have been changed. The Liquor Commission considered this ordinance at their last meeting and recommended approval, and I'd be happy to answer any specific questions that you may have.
Thank you very much. Any questions or comments on the proposed changes to the liquor ordinance from members of the audience? Any questions or comments from any members of the village council with respect to these proposed changes? I have none. Thank you. I appreciate the work to clean up the ordinance, keep it contemporary and current and reflecting what's currently going on in the community.
That concludes the first reading, Mayor.
Terrific. Thank you very much. That brings us to item 9, which is the mayor's report, and I have 2 items tonight. One, I hinted earlier about ComEd on September 20th. For those who've been watching our meetings, we have every meeting reported out on our continuing efforts to work with ComEd to enhance and improve the reliability of electrical service in the village of Downers Grove. This, of course, was brought about by the unusual, extraordinary weather events of last year, which caused some rather extraordinary and protracted outages in the community. A great deal has been accomplished, but that's not good enough. We're continuing to work with ComEd, and fortunately, we've not had those kind of experiences this year, certainly not to the same extent, but we'd like to keep it that way. Last year, we had a very successful town hall meeting with senior executives from ComEd, in which a lot of the issues that the village wanted to see action on were presented and discussed. There was also an opportunity for residents to interact with the executives from ComEd about their concerns, and I think that was a very successful event that led to a lot of improvements. We are having another one, so on September 20th, we'll be having Town Hall Meeting number 2 with executives of ComEd, and that will be at 7 o'clock p.m., again, Thursday, September 20th, at the Park District Recreation Center located at 4500 Belmont Road in the Village of Downers Grove. The village will release an updated reliability report prior to the meeting, indicating what progress has been made, but also areas where we think progress has yet to be made and should be made. Additionally, the village has reached out to the Chamber of Commerce to ensure that the business community is represented in this meeting, because they were certainly welcome to attend last time, but we have made an extra effort to reach out to the business community so that they will come and attend and voice their concerns through ComEd as well, because they are equally affected as our residential customers. So we can look forward to that on September 20th. Oh, and we have been, I believe we have been asking, to the extent we can, anyone who expressed an issue or problem last year to let us know where things stand today, sort of where are they today type of, and I know we've been asking for that every week, that if those residents would contact us and let us know, this would be a good opportunity to look at it 1 year later, where do things stand. So I hope we're collecting those to the extent that we have them and people are sending them in.
Certainly, we're also making those residents aware of the meeting and the opportunity to come if they feel like their concerns have not yet been satisfied and would like to continue expressing their desire to see improvement.
Terrific. Thank you very much. Hey, that brings me to the second item I would like to do in the mayor's report. It's my privilege, once again, as last week, to recommend for appointment to boards and commissions here in the village a number of residents who are kind enough to volunteer to serve on some of our boards and commissions, which we find very important. We have a number of very engaged, active, dedicated residents who serve on a variety of our boards and commissions on a number of different topics in this community. And as I often say, while we may not always agree as a village council with their recommendations, you heard some additional questions and potential changes from one of the Plan Commission recommendations just a moment ago, and we always greatly appreciate their efforts and their input, because it's extremely valuable. Tonight we have, rounding out the recent appointments that we started last week, and this will wrap up the few that were remaining. We have two appointments, or several appointments, two reappointments, excuse me, and one new appointment to the Plan Commission. I'm recommending for reappointment Phil Matejak and Brett Webster to the Plan Commission, and also recommending the appointment of Anastasia Urban to the Plan Commission. Ms. Urban is a planner in another community, so she will bring a particular expertise to our board, and I want to recognize her for being here tonight, and thank you for your service. I'm glad to see that you haven't taken off listening to the conversation that took place up here. And want to thank both Phil and Brett for their long service in the Plan Commission, their continued service in the Commission. We also are recommending for appointment as the new chair of the Plan Commission, Mr. Greg Jose, who is also here in the audience tonight. Mr. Jose is currently on the Plan Commission and will be serving as the chair going forward, assuming that the appointment goes forward. And in that regard, we are also celebrating the departure from that seat of Alan Gyrick. Alan Gyrick has, for most people in town will know, and think of Alan Gyrick as synonymous with the Plan Commission, having long served as its chair. And so we will be thanking and celebrating and recognizing both him and some other members of boards and commissions here in Downers Grove who have, for one reason or another, left those boards and commissions, retired if you will, although no one ever really retires in Downers Grove. You just move around to someplace else, right, Mr. Roble? So we will be recognizing all those volunteers for their service as well. And then last but not least, we also have two members of our Youth in Government program who are going to be appointed to two of our boards and commissions. A number of years ago, the Village Council began a program where we reach out to juniors at both Downers Grove South and Downers Grove High School, as well as other schools in the area, to potentially serve a one-year term on one of our boards and commissions. And I'm glad to be recommending tonight Justine Hung to a one-year term on the Environmental Concerns Commission, and Crystal Lohman to a one-year term on the Transportation and Parking Commission. And to make sure that Commissioner Durkin is satisfied, one student is from Downers Grove North and the other student is from Downers Grove South. So we're not playing any favorites. So with those appointments, we have to read anything. I can just ask for a motion to approve those appointments, please.
So moved.
Second.
Any further discussion, as if we needed any after my long-winded recitation? None, then roll call, please.
Commissioner Schnell?
Aye.
Commissioner Durkin?
Aye.
Commissioner Rankin?
Aye.
Commissioner Barnett?
Aye.
Commissioner Neustadt?
Aye.
Commissioner Waldeck?
Aye.
Mayor Tully?
Aye. Those appointments have all been approved. Congratulations, and thank you very much for your service. It's greatly appreciated. That brings us to item 10 on tonight's agenda, the manager's report. Mr. Baker.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. Two items to make the council and community aware of, actually two upcoming events. This month's Coffee with the Council will be held on the 15th of September, a Saturday, and we will do it at McCullum Park. Made arrangements with the Park District, and they'll be hosting us at that location. And then on October 6th will be the traditional first Saturday of October budget meeting. The budgets will be released the week prior, and we'll get together at Fire Station 2 to conduct that meeting, again, open to the public, and all are welcome to attend.
Terrific. Thank you very much. Attorney's report.
Thank you, Mayor. 3 items to present this evening. The first is an ordinance approving a plan development amendment to Plan Develop Number 18 to allow a second driveway access to 980 75th Street. The second is an ordinance amending the zoning ordinance of the Village of Downers Grove to rezone the property located at 4634 Roslyn Road. And third is the ordinance amending the liquor license classifications. That is all. Thank you, Mayor.
Very good. Thank you. That brings us to item 12 on our agenda, council member reports and new business. Commissioner Neustadt.
Thank you, Mayor. The ever-popular Fine Arts Festival is occurring this weekend in downtown Downers Grove on Saturday and Sunday from 10 to 5 p.m. Downtown Downers Grove Art Festival features the work of 130 artists exhibiting original art. Work will be available for sale at the festival. If you'd like to see the list of artists, you can check the Downtown Downers Grove Downtown Management website, which is at downtowndg.org for all the information. That's all I have tonight, Mayor.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Rankin.
No report, thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Commissioner Waldeck.
Thank you, Mayor. I do have one. This Thursday, September 6th, from 7 to 9, the Citizens Advocacy Center on 182 North York Road in Elmhurst will be hosting a moderated discussion called The Expanding Role of Money in Politics. The subtitle to that is The Citizens United Decision Upholding Free Speech or Diminishing Democracy with a question mark. If you would plan on attending, it's Thursday, September 6th, 7 to 9, and they would appreciate an RSVP. If you can look up their email, email them, or you can call 630-833-4080. And it is a nonpartisan discussion on politics, which is on money in politics and Citizens United. So it should be quite interesting. I plan on attending, so we hope to get a good crowd out there and get everybody educated. That's all I have, Mayor.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Barnett.
Nothing, Mayor, really, except I'd like to commend Commissioner Durkin for his very purple north-looking tie tonight.
Yeah, you like that, huh?
It's awesome.
I have an office on the north side and the south side. I'm never going to live this down, am I? Never.
Thank you. Commissioner Durkin.
Yeah, I have two things. First is a question. The Coffee with the Council, McCullum Park, do we know where in the park it's going to be?
We'll get the exact location, posted up on the website to let people know exactly where it'll be held.
Great, because that following our coffee on Wednesday, the 19th, they're having a ribbon cutting dedication to the new, greatly improved McCullum Park. More information to come on that through the, I'm sure, the Park District's website versus ours. But you know, yesterday, Monday, hard to believe. Yesterday we had the luxury of having the Labor of Love 5K come through the community, and when the Public Works were out picking up the horses, I noticed that we had a massive water main break on Bonnie Bray and Lyman, and they were out there all day. So I just want to thank the Public Works crews that unfortunately weren't able to spend the day with their families enjoying the beautiful weather and possibly the last barbecues with all before the snow flies. But they were out fixing the street, and I just want to acknowledge the hard work. I know that we pay them to do that. I know it's their job. But when it's a holiday and you're out there all day, I think a thank you is well deserved. So if you could pass that on, I would greatly appreciate it. And the other thing is, I had the opportunity to look at my mail before I I left for the meeting, and in this month's, actually, what is it? Yeah, September, October edition of West Suburban Living, on page, I'll get to it. I can't get to it, they hide it on me. On 84, there's a great article in here all about our town, Downers Grove. So I know we've been highlighted in this magazine a number of times, but I highly encourage you to get a copy of it, look at it online or wherever you, or even at our library, but it's a great article. It talks about everything that's going on in here, and they even highlight some discussion about our, let's see, for all of its size, breadth of resources, Downers Grove is also a community that celebrates its roots and retains much of its historic charm, as evidenced by its many tree-lined streets and bustling downtown. So, I mean, they really cover our community extremely well in this article. I was going to quote some information out of here about our Economic Development Corporation, but little did I know that after I read a little further that the president of it, Mr. Michael Casa, provided those quotes. So, great job, Michael. We appreciate it, and that's all I have. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Commissioner. Thank you for sharing that. Commissioner Schnell.
I actually have two things. One is actually a question for the village attorney. We received an email from a resident today, and in it he questioned the fact that there's a lot of speeding in our construction zones and that the state or tollways allow double fines in construction areas. Is that something that the village could look at, or is it simply something that the county or another authority higher than us?
No, we can certainly look into it if it's our village streets.
Okay. I don't know if that's something the rest of the council would like to look at, but if there is indeed a considerable amount of speeding, I think we've heard this from more than one individual, in construction areas, it may be something that would be advantageous to just at least look at and see what would be involved in doing something about it. So,
Okay, thank you.
I don't know if you need it
No, I
nods.
think I agree.
You know.
No, we don't do head nods.
Oh, wait, what, if we can, Bob, I don't know what we do anymore. But anyway, I just think it's a good idea.
I think I've heard a request for some information about how prevalent the issue is, and if it's something that perhaps deserves some suggestions for action.
That would be great.
What's the 3-hour rule or whatever it is? Or?
I'd even go for an hour.
I bet you it's
Whatever
probably a
it is.
3-minute rule, is what I'm guessing.
No.
On a much more serious note, the Mokel family name is synonymous with Downers Grove, and they lost a beloved member on August 21st. Marge Mokel, at the age of 101, passed away. She was a woman who was very involved in our community, even up into the age of past 80. So I just want to express my condolences to the whole Mokel family for their loss, and really for the loss of our community, too.
Thank you, Commissioner. Thank you for sharing that. And yes, as we've often pointed out, the local name is synonymous with Downers Grove. We have a street named after the Mokel family here in Downers Grove for that very reason. Thank you. Just a few things to report. First of all, I just want to point out to Commissioner Durkin that not only did the Downers Grove Lions Club 5K race on Labor Day take off quite well, but Mr. Swimmer, one of the devout Lions, actually complimented the village for reacting to the water main break, but also with respect to filling the potholes, because he personally walks the entire course before the race and makes sure that there are no problems in the road, and he outlines them to the collected group before the race starts, and he was very complimentary of the village Public Works for making sure that we had a safe running path. I don't know if it helped me at all, but at least nobody got hurt. Second, I just want to remind everyone in advance that on Friday, September 28th, Downers Grove Area Chamber of Commerce and Industry will be holding its annual gala, this year called Diamonds and Denim. And it will be taking place at the Doubletree Guest Suites Hotel in Downers Grove, of course. Cocktail reception begins at 6:30. There's dinner at 7:30, 8:30, dancing, silent auction, and importantly, they will be honoring the 2012 Enterprise Award winner, Laura Nyberg from Good Samaritan Hospital. It's always a good event, and lots of good sponsors, and a great way to network with people in the community. And I believe that if you go to the Chamber website, of course I don't have this right in front of me, but there's a link on the Downers Grove Village website to the Chamber. That's the easiest thing. So www.downers.us, and you can find the Chamber website there. And last, also on a more serious note, on behalf of myself and the entire Village Council, we want to extend and express our condolences to Village Manager Dave Fieldman, who had some deaths in the family recently, which is why he's not here tonight. we keep him, his family, and all those who are loved ones in the Fieldman family in our thoughts and prayers, and express our condolences to them as well. So I have nothing further. So with that, I would ask for a motion to adjourn, please.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Commissioner Schnell?
Aye.
Commissioner Durkin?
Aye.
Commissioner Rankin?
Aye.
Commissioner Barnett?
Aye.
Commissioner Newstead?
Aye.
Commissioner Waldeck?
Aye.
Mayor Tully?
Aye. We are adjourned. Thank you and good night.
Okay, so September